Welcome to Work From Your Happy Place, the podcast that equips you with the knowledge and inspiration to live your dreams and find your own happy place. You will be encouraged by and learn from entrepreneurs and artists who are already working from their happy place, all while pursuing their passion with a purpose. Be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter for a recap of the week's guests and a preview of what's in store. We also have 2 special gifts for you: a video, the 5 core principles to living a happier life, and a printable download titled Top 10 Sales Strategies. Go to workfromyourhappyplace.com/free and fill out the attached form to receive your gifts and be added to our newsletter. And now, here's your host, Belinda Ellsworth.
Hi, it's Belinda here. And before we get started with today's show, I'd like to tell you about some exciting things coming soon that I think you're going to love. After over 500 episodes, we've discovered so many tips, tools, and bits of knowledge that we want to share it all with you. So this spring, we are launching a brand new online community and quarterly subscription box. Here's how it works. Each quarter, you'll receive an amazing box full of items to bring you happiness in both work and in life. Each box includes items designed by entrepreneurs just like yourself for your home, office, personal care, and so much more. It will also contain a business book and our Acts of Kindness shareables so you can show appreciation to your customers and anyone who needs to be lifted up. In the months between box deliveries, you'll learn from an amazing community of business owners, including guided trainings on business skills and personal development, a book club that features Q&A time directly with that month's author, and a monthly featured guest from whom you'll learn strategies to grow your own business. You'll learn from one another through our private group, as well as our live monthly Q&A session where you can get all of your questions answered. Sound exciting? How would you like a free 6-month subscription? To enter, get on our VIP list by going to workfromyourhappyplace.com/VIP. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy today's show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our show today. I'm so excited. It's always fun to have such talented artists on our show. And today I have Delnora Reed Acuff with me. And Delnora is a singer-songwriter. The voice that brought her from West Virginia to Nashville has been recognized with consecutive nominations for CMA's Female Vocalist of the Year, and she is currently ICMA's reigning New Artist of the Year. She's released 8 studio albums, including 3 as a member of the critically acclaimed duo Blue Eyed Grass. It is my pleasure to welcome Delnora to our show today.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. So let's fill in some of these gaps of this bio. Let's get to know you. Tell us a little bit about your background and then how you got on this journey and what you're doing today. That's going to be exciting and fun.
Yeah, well, to sum it up, I guess there's no summing it up ever with me. I'm sorry. A short story becomes a long story, but try to make it short. I come from the Reed family. My great-granddaddy was Henry Reed. He was the master fiddler, and the American Folk Life Center at the Library of Congress began with his repertory of old-time fiddle tunes. Wow. Now, he was just a regular guy, and it's super cool. The way I view music, I know, comes from that. They just sat around on the porch and played, and they mastered it. And that was their craft. And it wasn't just a hobby. It was just part of them. I thought every family did this. So, I mean, playing and I didn't know people couldn't sing in key either. And so you need to understand that that viewpoint kind of taints a lot of people grow up feeling special or odd or whatever. I didn't think I was special at all. I thought everybody did this because my whole family did it. And so they knew that I was a singer very early on and not a musician. So that's, I guess, what set me apart in my family. They were all master musicians. I play the guitar, I can chord, and I play for myself. And especially now that I live in Nashville, I know the difference between a musician and my instrument is my voice. Yeah. So, because you say very quickly, I am a guitar player. I am not a guitarist. There's a difference. There's a big difference. So I I knew very early I wanted to play. My dad was a songwriter, and he wanted me to have my own songs. Once they realized that I wanted to go sing, and at like 11 years old, they started writing for me, and I sat through every one of those writing sessions. He wrote with a man named Norman Godsey and Harold Huffman. Harold wrote for Tight Fitting Jeans for Conway Twitty. And so I didn't realize how much I was a sponge. I sat through those writing sessions, and it's just part of who I am, I think now. I didn't realize I was doing songwriting 101, in all those lessons.
Right.
They're writing a song for me. So I contributed, where I could as much as an 11-year-old can at that point. But Dad's point was there was already like a Dolly Parton. I was singing their songs. And he said, you need Delnora songs. And so they wanted to write songs for me and could come into my own voice, because he noticed I started mimicking them, Stevie Nicks or Dolly Parton. Reba McEntire was really, really popular when I was a little girl. And so I was really mimicking all of them. And he said, you need to come into your own voice. So they started writing and for me, and we recorded my first album, and I think we released it before I turned 16 years old. But through all those years, I played and sang, and I don't know anything different. So
Wow.
now I'm in Nashville. I'm outside of Nashville now, but I was in Nashville when my husband found me. My husband's from Cookeville, and that's where I live now. But I've just been doing it. I've been through a couple of record deals, and I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes. You know what? We just want to get to know you a little bit. And so there is real no question in there. It's just like, love that background. I think that, wow, it's how wise of them to realize that at that age. I don't think everyone does that.
I don't know if you
to
can
help
tell, I'm a
them.
little bit hyper. I've often wondered, as I look back now, were they trying to channel some energy as they saw, I was entering my teens. I grew
Yes.
really fast, and I was the size I am now by the time I was 13. And
Wow.
yeah, and I spoke like an adult. Of course, what I was doing in music, and I was listening. I spoke like, I listened back to some interviews on radio stations, and I was talking about my music career. Oh, I was so serious. And I look back, and I talked like an adult. I learned how to talk. I think I was mimicking. Just like with the music, like what I was supposed to say and do. But I think they wanted to channel this energy into a positive place. And it was very wise of them, because now we all know about things like ADHD, and I totally have that. And they completely channeled all of that energy into something that I absolutely loved. So,
Oh, that's great. So then we're going to dive into some of your favorite performances or things that you've done, but like, take us up to speed now. So that was kind of like your youth, and then where's things at today, and what are you doing, and how are you still living out your passion?
well, after a few record deals, which I hold no bitterness in my heart, things did not work out during that time, but I made relationships and friends, and I went through RCA and DreamWorks, and a lot of people have some negative, things to say about that. And I have nothing negative. I mean, obviously, there's a whole bunch of people that get records deals, and I really thought that's what everyone did. Because when I moved to town, I got one, and it just seemed like when one ended, I got another one. And I just thought people did that. And my manager was Kenny Chesney's manager, and he took me from one building to the next building. We just, okay. And I sang for them, and they were like, okay, we wrote a record deal, signed a record deal. And I just thought everybody did that. But that's apparently not as easy as I did not know that, but I learned so much from all the people. The first thing they did was get me in writing rooms with writers that were number one hit writers, and I learned so much. And I just appreciate that experience. But over time, we parted ways, because I'm doing this independently now. I wanted to start a family, and I moved up here to Cookeville, and I knew that when God gives you something, I relaxed in knowing that this is what I have to do for the rest of my life. And you don't have to strive. What's very odd is the success that came in my life was when the striving stopped. I'm talking about like really, we beat our heads against the pavement on Music Row trying to pitch stuff and get my album to take off, even though we were, I had a record deal, and I guess they could have pushed it if they wanted to, but it didn't happen. And it happened in God's time. And so just when you're personally okay with that, I was okay with just, hey, it's not my time. The business folks in Nash Vegas were not as comfortable as I was in just waiting on God's time. And so as soon as it's crazy. As soon as I went out independently, some of I call it success when God's word's getting out there. So that's the songs that I've been writing have been just so different once I've stopped trying to do it on my own.
Well, that is awesome.
That's what I'm doing now. That's what I'm doing now.
That's great. So let's talk about one of your favorite or memorable performances, and you can give one of each if you have different experiences there.
One of each?
Sometimes they're one and the same, and sometimes for people they're not. Their favorite performance was different than a memorable performance, if you will.
Yeah. I get to work with some of my heroes. When I met Carl Jackson. He's won a bunch of Grammys, and there's just a whole bunch. You could go name dropping all the people, and Dolly Parton. And I was part of this project called Orthophonic Joy. And it was the history of country music. And this is where my past, we went to my artist name just being Delnora, because I got kind of tired of bringing my granddaddy into it. And yet this is where my past collided with my present. I got to Orthophonic Joy was when back in 1927, the Bristol Sessions was where country music began. I mean, they took it off of the porches. People were playing it on the porches, like my great granddaddy, sorry. But took it off the porches, and some folks came down from New York, and they were like, let's record these hillbillies, and that's where Jimmy Rogers and just what's crazy is that they always call it the birth of country music, but it was the birth of blues. It was the birth of bluegrass. It was the birth of rock and roll, because that's where, we're talking about the Carter family.
Right.
And we remember when Johnny Cash came along, just learning the history. And I got to be on this project where we revisited the project, 1927 Bristol Sessions Revisited. It was called Orthophonic Joy, and Carl Jackson produced it, and Marty Stewart, Emmylou Harris, Brad Paisley, Sheryl Crow. We could keep going down the list of all the artists that were part of this project. Our song was one song right after Steve Martin and the Steep Canyon Rangers. I never would have thought I'd been on a project like that, but then we got to perform at a couple different places. In Houston Fest, because it was part of the Made in Tennessee, and Virginia is for Lovers, the tourism. And so we did a little tour, and I got to be around those characters. Like Marty Stewart is a historian. He is truly a country music historian, and he can tell you about all of these things. And it just married all of it to me. I was like, wow, this is why I like good music is good music. Because Johnny Cash and all these folks were on Elvis. They were all on a tour together before there were genres, and he broke out and was doing rock and roll, and it was just good music. And and they were artists in their own right, and they created genres out of their own artistry, if you think about it. Mm-hmm. So then people started mimicking them. So I think as a performance, I enjoyed being part of that. But again, it was a collaboration. As a songwriter, I have a whole different favorite, because my new album, Blank Page, is absolutely, it's not just because it's my new album and I'm like, I got to plug it, but it was totally my heart. I thought it was more personal. I didn't know I was going to share it with the world. If I were a blank page, I'd want you to be the pen. That was a prayer with God. And I sat down with with Corey Lee Barker, and it kind of came out in a way where I was trying to pull up a blank page on my screen. So as a performance, when I get to perform that song, anytime I get to perform it, and it's not really a performance. So that's kind of, I say that tongue in cheek because it's truly my heart and a vulnerable place when I get to do my artistry where I don't have to perform, because I will go into a major performance, if any other songs, but the songs that I enjoy performing are the ones that I can just lay out my artistry and not have to perform them, just be raw and real, and people are blessed by it and they
Wow.
feel the healing of it, because I just want them to know that we all can have a blank page if we want it, and yet I formed it in a way where it's a question and God's okay with those questions. I'd like to be a blank page again. Wouldn't we all? I'd like to take back what I said yesterday,
Yep,
whatever.
absolutely.
So I think my new album, that's like, I know that's two different thoughts, but those are two very,
that's fantastic.
two
That's why I frame the question the way that I do, because, I've talked with people about a favorite performance that they've had, but then there's sometimes just something really memorable that happened at one of those performances that was so touching and so unique
Mhm.
that it might not ever happen again, but it might not have been when they were playing this huge arena with a whole bunch of really incredible people. So they are
Right.
very different, and that's why we ask it. So love that. So everybody's got their superpowers and their skill sets that really make them strong, unique, successful, whatever you want to call it. And what have you identified as your kind of superpower?
My superpower, I have a lot of energy. I had a lot of my dad and mom, bless them. Now I'm getting paid back. I have a 7-year-old. I have a lot of energy, and it's both my blessing and curse. I think the energy that sometimes I just want to calm down. I'm like that little dog, when the little dog that you greet you at the door is like, and jumping around. And I'm so excited. I'm kind of like this interview about the end of it. I'll probably be calm. Okay, we can actually have a discussion now. I'm just so excited. I'll think about everything after it. Probably. Oh yeah, that's right. But I think it gives me a lot of energy. I spend my life now trying to channel that energy appropriately so that I can accomplish things and organize a little bit better. As you've witnessed, we've tried to do this call a couple of times. I tried to get the time straight and the details straight, because the details matter. But yeah, I think that my superpower would still be my energy, because I have a ton of it, and if people can just hang on for the ride, I'll get us there. It might be a little spastic, but we have fun, and I think that at my shows, a lot of my songs are calming because of that, and so the superpower that comes from all of that energy is that my songs calm me and hopefully others too. So I might be this ball of energy, and we can have fun between the songs, but then the songs will bring you to the breathing place, where you can just relax. And often I know that has been the purest form of therapy that I ever could have had, is to just write a song that is calming to the soul.
That's beautiful. So, especially now that you are independent, I think that this is even more of an important question. But
Okay.
what are ways that we know in today's world, it is more important than ever that you're the one that's driving that, building your fan base or curating that fan base. And so what are some ways that you sort of engage with your fans and continue to grow your fan base?
It's just me. And when I've had people do it for me. And I think that I have to do it myself. And that's not me being a control freak as much as it is it just seems more natural to me. And I think my
Mhm.
fans know that. It's like they know when they hear from me, they know I'm not ignoring them or whatever, because we're all in this kind of together. And that's how I view it, because I wouldn't be doing this or have anybody to sing to if they didn't like me, if they weren't my friends. So I don't treat my fans like fans. They're my friends, because
Mhm.
and so I care about what they're going through. And it's not just one-sided. We're all going through some stuff. And so a lot of times, I'll pray with them and talk to them, and just like I'm talking to you right now. And when I had other people doing it for me, I'm like, I missed it. Heck, there was a writing lull for a long time. I was like, I've got to talk to people. And so no matter who's at my show, I'm going to stand and talk to you. Now, it's a little annoying, and I know I've lost some sales because they've been standing in line and they're like, hey, she's still talking to this person. But I mean, I'm going to fully engage when I'm there. And so I do it online. I do it in person, any way that I can. I'm 100% where I'm at, wherever I'm at. And it's not always, again, there's another superpower. It's not always a good thing, because you need to kind of set some boundaries.
I was
But
just going to say, being present is a superpower, and then you said it. So that's another superpower, because it really truly is. And
yes, but then you forget about there are other things going on, like that need your attention, but I'm there, I'm engaged.
I think it's really interesting. I know for myself, I have a team that assists with my social media, creating posts or creating things.
Oh
But
yeah.
as far as like commenting and going in and actually, having conversations, that is the piece I still like to do myself, because
That's what I was
otherwise,
talking about. Yeah.
how in the world do you really know? And one night I had a lady, I just happened to be going to bed super late. It was like 1 a.m. And she was upset about something to do with her order. And so she's just firing off the nastiest comments to me. And I read them. And so then I answered her back pretty quickly. I'm so sorry that you, and she goes, this is a bot. And I was like, no, this is really me sitting in my bed late at night and wondering how I can help you. And then this woman completely changed. Oh my gosh, I had no idea it was really you. And I'm so sorry. And she completely changed her whole demeanor. I'm like, I'm here to help you. I'm here to serve you in any way that I can make this better for you, because certainly I don't want you to be this unhappy. And it completely turned that whole situation around. And she'll probably always then be a super fan still. Do you know what I mean? Even though she was upset. It's that whole paradigm of, what did they call that? Service paradox, or it's like where you can turn a negative situation into a super positive one.
Right.
And then people like you better than they did even before they had the negative situation.
Right. Yeah.
Service recovery paradox. That's what it's called.
But I mean, you have to also be okay with if you did turn that person. Because there's just people, you're not going to please everybody, and
Right.
but that is, that was what I was talking about. As far as posters and photos, all that I do not do that. There are people that do that for me, but I like the commenting is the engaging one-on-one.
Yep.
That's what I was talking about. I'm glad you brought that around. Thank you. Yeah, that was
Not
perfect.
a problem. So, one of the things for artists that have always been sort of challenging for a lot of them, they always say, oh, yeah, that's been the challenging piece, but it's learning to navigate the business side of your business with the creativity piece of your business, that piece that you just throw your whole soul onto the music and your heart. And then, so how have you learned to sort of balance that as far as the creativity and it's a business?
Right. I think we touched on it before. The overlaps are astounding, as far as like, oh, wow, I have to navigate both the business and now the artistic side of this. Right. And I think the hardest part as an artist is just that in recognizing those overlaps, it can get a little awkward for me when I just shared that with you, the things that come natural, like sharing what's coming from my heart, or
Mm-hmm.
just being able to be me. If I'm trying to do the formula, the formula, you should do this many posts and it's going to come off awkward, and they know it. The fans feel it. And so, and the friends and all of your followers, I mean, they're following you for a reason, and it's because you're you. And if you try to follow somebody else's pattern of how to do it exactly, now don't get me wrong, there are certain times of day, I guess, that are better than others, but then you have to figure out who your friends and your fans, like, when are they on most often? And if you're not doing it yourself, you don't really know. But when are they on the most? And because I don't know, these algorithms, they're just the algorithm says it. And sometimes my own husband cannot see some of my posts sometimes. Like, what is happening? Are they trying to split up marriages? Because we don't know. But so I just say, just post what's on your heart, and the people, it will find the right people.
But like what I mean, I guess, is do you set aside time? Okay, now this is my writing time. Do you set
Yes.
aside time for this is my promotional time? This is so we're like how you're going to treat it more like a business than sort of just flying by the seat of your pants.
Well, sometimes there's that. And, sometimes flying by the seat of your pants. There's a lot of that in this household. Okay, especially after it seems like it's been a 7-year learning curve since I had my son. So every as you know, with children, things change. Like just when I got one season down. He was in diapers, and then all of a sudden we were potty trained, and then as soon as I had a time set, just being flexible is actually a superpower. And what I do, I think that you have to be a little bit flexible, and being able to navigate that. It has strengthened my husband and I's relationship, because also I'm dealing with, hey, can you take the baby? I've got this or that. But he's 7 now, so I can't keep calling him a baby. But still, can I, when I wanted to do, as a mom, I think that it's not as easy for me to compartmentalize as it is my husband.
Yeah.
I'm still doing this interview, but I've got one brain, half of my brain is on him. So I thought ADHD was bad pre having a child, but after that, now half of my brain is always on him. Is he okay at school? Is he fine? Should I be there? So yeah, and then the mom guilt is totally real on that. If I have to go away, which is not very often, but boy, they know how to play it. I was gone a couple weekends ago. I was judging a contest with the Inspirational Country Music Association, and I had to go to Kentucky. And I had just done a show the night before, and I was leaving the next morning. And he looked up at me and went, "Just had a show last night, Mommy." I was like, "Yes, but now I have to go to Kentucky." Honey, I don't do it every weekend. You just navigating the feels of that. So yes, I do set aside specific time, especially when he's at school. This is my time. I do Zoom writes a whole lot, and I also go to Nashville a whole lot and write, since we're just outside. And sometimes the writing rooms and getting outside, even though this is my happy place, getting outside of here too is good. Heck, just taking a lap around the yard sometimes will spark my creativity, and look at the birds and just being in nature. And we do that a lot in the middle of a writing session. If we're stumped, we hold on, let's take a coffee break. Let's go outside. Let's just breathe some air. Let's, look around, and often the line will come to us. So being structured and being flexible. I know it sounds like I'm talking out of two sides of my mouth,
No.
but it really is. It is just so important, because if I'm too structured, then I haven't given, I haven't left room for the creativity to happen. So I have to be structured enough that things get done, but open enough to. So there. I hope that was long. You can edit that if you want.
No, you know what? I think it's real. And I think that a lot of those feelings that you said are feelings that no matter what industry that you're in or what you're doing, I think that every single mom,
Feels
goes through those feelings. Absolutely. And you hit on them. But I do think it's also important. That's going to be our next question, of course,
Mhm.
about happy place. But I do think it's important to acknowledge that even though, especially in today's world post pandemic, if you can be at home, it still is good to get out of that home. Like, I
Oh,
love being
yes.
in my home, but there are days where I know I need to get out of here and get my brain focused on something else. And that actually gets me thinking about the next thing that I might need to do. I
That's
think
right.
sometimes we just get that tunnel vision and it's really hard sometimes. So I
Yes.
loved all that. Which brings us to our next question, and that is, what does working from your happy place mean to you?
Oh, well, my happy place is I feel the joy of, just the joy of the Lord. I feel the joy of His Spirit. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do by being able to be here and do it. And every time I sing and I play, and so I think when it stops being that, that you should stop for a while. I'm not saying forever, just the season of it. There's always a season. If I ever, somebody asked me this, do you get nervous when you get on stage? Last weekend, they asked me that, and I'm like, you've been doing this for so long. Why are you shaking? And I do. I'm shaking right now just talking to you. I get excited. It's part of my personality. But if I don't get that, I need to take a minute, step
Yeah.
back. If you're not getting excited about what you're doing, ooh, then maybe you need to revisit. It's nothing wrong with you. Maybe we need to revisit how you're approaching it. How, what's, if you're approaching it from a place, it's not fun when I paint some things for my family. I'm a painter, and I will paint some things for them, and it comes from a pure joy. That's something I would never market, I don't think, because I did that one time. My dad's like, "You ought to put those paintings online," and I do. I have a page, but I had like 2 commissioned paintings. I will never again, when they were for money for someone else, that was not out of just sparked whenever I wanted to do it. So there's something different when you make something your livelihood. And so that my painting comes from a different joy. It's a joy just specifically whenever I want to. God did not give me that to make a living with it, I don't think, because that it was no longer my joy. And so I'm now doing music from the place of joy. The music industry very quickly can become about, what's marketable and and I'm I think that's why people continue to say people continue to follow me. That sounded cultish. That's no, you know what I mean. They follow what I'm doing because I'm not doing it for myself, for the I'm doing it for the joy, and if they're getting joy with it with me, then yes, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But yeah, the what does it mean to me? Music to me it's been a part of my life. It's like breathing. I mean, I sing even when I'm not performing. You understand that my
I
son,
do.
and he does this. When we sing when we're making stuff, we make up little songs. We're like Winnie the Pooh over here. We're making up little songs about everything. Our life is a musical, and we're just going to do this, I think, for the rest of our lives. And if I weren't making them up for you guys to hear and enjoy, I'd be making them up for him. So it's just everything. I will do it until God tells me to stop, and I pray He never does. I pray I'm doing it for all eternity, and I kind of look forward to that big worship session.
That's awesome. So, what in closing, we've got 2 more questions here,
Okay.
and I know you have to go get your son from school.
Hey, we're
So,
good. We're good.
all
I'm
right,
actually doing good. I was like, oh no, I've
perfect.
been talking too much.
So, what advice would you give to someone out there that is, wants to follow their passion of singing or being a musician?
Do the best. Do everything with the best of your ability. I mean, whatever your ability is right then. Okay. Just keep pursuing it with all that you have. And because there's a natural gift, there's people that, oh, she can sing, or he can sing. And there's this natural gift. And then there's the honing your craft. And so I'm not saying that all of that is fun. When I say work from your happy place, the joy of it. Oh, I just always have to go back to the joy of it.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the work was not fun. When you're trying to figure out a line, it's not always going to be fun. I mean, when you're training for a race or you're training for anything, you're working out your body and trying to get it in shape. It's not always fun, but it's really nice when outfits fit again, And so it's, don't be scared to mess up. Don't be scared to fail. It's like, oh, how many failures before something got out there? I am, we're just going to say in my 40s, and I'm the new artist of the irony of that is not lost on me that I'm a new artist and I'm in my 40s. So, and I dreamed about this since I was a little girl. Kind of thought I'd be a new artist in my 20s and by now be a female vocalist of the year, but it's not about the awards. I mean, you're a little girl and you're dreaming about things, but if that's who I'm talking about, I don't want to discourage and say, oh no, I'm going to have to wait 40 years like her. No, you're going to have to wait however long God tells you, but keep working at it in the meantime so that you're ready when it comes. Because if you're not ready when it comes, whose fault is that? You just be, hey, and guess what? There's even a lesson in that. You know how many times I wasn't ready when it came? It's like, I wasn't ready for some of these questions today, but you just keep plugging away and doing the best with what you have. And then God will give you more. Because if you're not doing the best with what you have, then why would he give you any more? So just keep doing the best that you can with what you have. And then I'm telling you, things will, he blesses that. I believe in that at least you'll feel it here with him,
Right.
between him. Somebody posted one time very recently on one of my talk about, this is a problem with being the one that engages. Someone said she was always a great studio musician, but never a star. And I just replied, I said, well, thank you. Thank you for that compliment, because the fact that you felt the need to say that says that I'm shining brighter than you would like for me to. But truly and wholeheartedly, I believe that the definition of success is if I'm shining bright for my Heavenly Father. That's it. That's all the star that I need to be. And so if you are being who you were created to be, and you're doing that with all of your heart, I think if being a star is your number one goal, you probably should find a different goal. Because I'm not saying now, see, Dolly Parton will blow that out of the water because I love me some Dolly. She always knew she was going to be a star, right? I just wanted to be able to do music my whole life and just do it and be able to make a living. And I feel like I'm doing that. And as long as I'm making him happy, then I'm happy.
So, any new and exciting things? So you can plug your album again and then tell us about any fun things that you're doing and any new and exciting things. And then tell our listeners where they can find you.
Okay. You can find me at delnora.com. All my things are there. Facebook, Instagram, you can find me everywhere. You can even email me from there. So you can find me all those places. As a matter of fact, I've got to update that today. Because I have a show coming up Thursday, and I've got a couple of shows coming up. I have at the Tennessee State Fair. I'll be on the community stage, and I'm really excited about that on Thursday in Lebanon. It's at the Wilson County Fairgrounds. So that's the Tennessee State Fair. And my new album, hi, these are some of my albums. This is a Blank Page. It's right side up right there. Go find it. I'm really proud of this album. And the new single is coming out in October. The new single is Blank Page went to number 1. I'm Thankful is my current single, but in October, I have a new one coming out called You Get to Me. So, yeah, I'm excited about that one. So, yay!
Yay!
Y'all can go to delnora.com. I made it really easy for you. You don't have to remember Reed or Acuff. Just Delnora.
Well, Delnora, this has been absolutely delightful, and I'd love to close the show out with one of your songs. If you want to do Blank Page, since you've spoken about it, or the other one that just released, which Thankful would be amazing. Yeah.
It's a good day to be thankful.
It is a good day to be thankful. So thank you for sharing your heart, and your joy comes across so brightly across this interview and across the screen. So thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you. I'm thankful for you.
And to all of our listeners out there, we're thankful for you. We're so glad. We know you have a choice of where to spend your time, and we're both grateful that you chose to spend it with us today. Please follow or subscribe. Give us a rate or review, because that does help that crazy algorithm that none of us seem to be able to understand. So, and check out our website. We have lots of fun, exciting things going on. And don't forget to check out Delnora's new album. And with that, we will see you next time on Work From Your Happy Place.
Sometimes I get caught up, sweating over the smallest stuff, and I lose my head. Say things I can't take back, forget who and where I'm at and how blessed I am. It's time for a change, no room to complain. Ain't no clouds in the sky, I'm kissing my worries goodbye. Good day to be thankful, a good day to be grateful. It's a good day to be glad minds in a place full. I got family, I got friends who'll be with me to the end. Ain't no reason to be moody, sad or hateful. A good day to be thankful. Can't let what I have not overshadow what I've got, 'cause I've got enough. More reason to smile than ever, no doubt that I'll forever be rich in love. I'm letting go of what I can't control. I'm gonna be a different me. Every day is gonna be a good day to be thankful, a good day to be grateful. It's a good day to be glad mind in a place full. I got family, I got friends who'll be with me to the end. Ain't no reason to be moody, sad or hateful. A good day to be thankful. There's no better time for my heart to unwind. Oh, right here, right now. Come and sing it with me loud. A good day to be thankful, a good day to be grateful. It's a good day to be glad mind in a place full. I got family, I got friends who'll be with me to the end. Ain't no reason to be moody, sad or hateful. A good day to be thankful.